Namaskar and welcome to 37th day of Ramayana Satsanga. Lakshmೀನಾಥ ಸಮಾರಂಭಾಂ ನಾಥಯಾಮುನ ಮಧ್ಯಮಾಂ ಅಸ್ಮದಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಪರ್ಯಂತಾಂ ವಂದೇ ಗುರುಪರಂಪರಾಂ ಯೋ ನಿತ್ಯಮಚ್ಯುತ ಪದಾಂಬುಜಯುಗ್ಮ ರುಗ್ಮ ವ್ಯಾಮೋಹತಸ್ತದಿತರಾಣಿ ತೃಣಾಯ ಮೇನೆ ಅಸ್ಮದ್ಗುರೋರ್ಭಗವತೋಸ್ಯ ದಯೈಕ ಸಿಂಧೋಃ ರಾಮಾನುಜಸ್ಯ ಚರಣೌ ಶರಣಂ ಪ್ರಪದ್ಯೆ आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. With prayers at the lotus feet of Prabhu Sri Ramachandra and the Acharyas, let us take our topic for today. So yesterday's satsang we had seen how Jambavan motivated Hanuman and reminded him of his power which was hidden within him. And once Hanuman has been reminded, then now he is ready to jump across the ocean. Now, from this point onwards, where Hanuman leaves the Mahendragiri and goes to Lanka, starts the most important part of the Ramayana, which is called as the Sundarakanda. It is often described as the very heart of the Ramayana. And this is the only Kanda which is named after an individual. Who is that individual? We will find out later. Just Acharyas say that if you don't have time, if you don't have the resources to read the entire Ramayana, then just if you do Parayana, just if you read Sundarakanda also, that is enough to give you the phala, the fruit of having read the entire Ramayana. So now Hanuman is ready. He has climbed the peak of the Mahendragiri mountain and he is standing there ready to go across. Tato Ravana Nitayaha सीतायाः शत्रुकर्षणः इयेष पद्मन्वेष्टुं चारणी चरिते पथि. After that means after the discussion with all the Vanaras, Hanuman, the destroyer of the foes, decided to travel. He said, I am going to travel now in the sky through the path which all celestial characters, all these divine characters, divine beings like Charanas and all go through that path. I'm going to go through that path to search for Sita, who has been carried away by Ravana. Now, Lakshmana, because he has to call up immense power to jump across the ocean, he slowly increases his size. He grows very large in size. And to build up the momentum, he's pressing down on the earth. He is flexing his arms. His tail is propped up and ready to support him. And he flies into the sky with all the energy that he has. Now, because so much force has been exerted on the earth, the rocks are breaking. All the tapasvis who are in that Mahendragiri, they get scared. What is happening? The stones start tumbling down. The trees start falling down. The flowers from the trees fall down and they cover the entire mountainside. Then all the rivers, the streams and all start oozing out that liquid. The river water all starts flying up here and there. So everything is in a state of movement because of all this force which Hanuman has exerted on that. And all the divine beings, all the devatas are watching to see what is happening. The Gandharvas, the Apsaras, the Kinnaras, everybody is looking around. All the great sages, everybody is watching that what is this great thing that is happening now, and they realize the importance of that event. Here it is described by Valmiki that when Hanuman jumped into the sky to fly across the ocean, then just like when we are leaving from somewhere, our friends come with us till the door to bid goodbye to us, and then they go back inside their house. Like that, when Hanuman rose up into the sky, all the trees, all their flowers, everything flew up with him to some distance, and then they dropped down below. So very beautifully, Valmiki Rishi has described the events in this Sundarakanda. Now, as he is jumping and flying into the sky, Hanuman says, he makes a vow. He says, Yatha Raghava Nirmuktaha Shara Shwasana Vikramaha Gachet Tadva Twadgamishyami Lankam Ravana Palitam नहि द्रक्ष्यामि यदि तां लङ्कायां जनकात्मजां अनेनैव हि वेगेन गमिष्यामि सुरालयम् यदि वा त्रिदिवे सीतां न द्रक्ष्याम्यकृतश्रमः बद्ध्वा राक्षसराजानाम् आनेष्यामि रावणम् सर्वथा कृतकार्योऽहम् एष्यामि सह सीतया आनयिष्यामि वा लङ्कां समुत्पाट्य सरावणाम्. He says, I will go to the city of Lanka, which is ruled by Ravana, and I will go with so much speed as if I am an arrow who has been released by Rama. So just like if Rama releases an arrow from his bow, how fast it will go, like that, with that speed like the wind, I will go to the city of Lanka. If I don't find Janakatmaja, the daughter of Janaka, if I don't find Janaki there, if I don't find Sita there, with that same speed, I will go to Suralaya, the abode of the gods. That means I will go to Swarga. If I don't find her there in heaven also, I will come back to Lanka and I will put this Ravana, who is the king of Rakshasas, into chains. I will tie him up effortlessly and I will bring him here. So either I will come along with Sita successfully, or I will get Lanka itself along with Ravana after uprooting it from its position. Like this is the Ghor Pratigna, the severe vow that Hanuman takes. So from this we can understand how full of enthusiasm, how full of energy he is as he flies on his mission. Now, as he is flying with full force, there are some obstacles which come up in his path. So the nature of these obstacles is different, and how Hanuman deals with them is also very different. So the first obstacle that comes up is a mountain called Mainak. This Mainak is a mountain which has been submerged under the ocean. So what happens is, as Hanuman is flying like this across the ocean, the Samudra Raja appreciates the effort of Hanuman. And he says, oh, Hanuman has set out on a great mission and I must do something to help him. What can I do? So he calls on this Mainaka, who is the mountain who is submerged under the water. And he says, you rise up and you offer Atitya, offer hospitality to Hanuman. Tell him to take rest for some time. Let him have food. Let him have some of the fruits and roots and other things which are growing on you. And you offer him that hospitality so that he has some respite. He's been flying, so give him some help. Now Mainaka rises up in the middle, and as Hanuman is flying, he sees that suddenly one big mountain has come in his path. Nothing was there so far, it was all just the clear sky, and he was going at a very high speed. Suddenly this mountain has come up in the middle, and that mountain says to him that, I am Mainaka, I am the brother of Parvati Devi, I am the friend of your father Vayu, and you please take some rest, have the fruits from my trees and all that. I have come to offer hospitality for you. And at that time, this Mainaka says, Kritecha pratikartavyam esha dharmas sanatanaha soyam tat pratikararthi tvattah sammana marhati. When one service is done, a return service has to be done. That is what is our Sanatana Dharma. That is what is our Dharma. So this ocean wants to do a great service to the Raghu dynasty in return for the service that they did to it. And therefore, I am here to help you, he says. So you please, whatever I'm doing is good for you, he says. Now, what Hanuman does is, he says, I know I'm very grateful for your offer, but I have taken a pratigna that I will fly without stopping anywhere. And already I'm running short of time because I was supposed to get news of Sita to Rama many months ago. We've already been delayed. So I cannot afford to wait now. Anyway, some other time I will take your hospitality. But for now, please permit me to fly ahead. And very lovingly, Hanuman comes very close to the Shikhara, to the peak of that mountain. He lovingly embraces it with his arm, and then he bows his head and says, please give me permission, I will go further. I'm already running out of time. So the mountain agrees and sinks back into its place below the ocean, and Hanuman flies ahead. So this mountain Mainaka was the first obstacle that came in Hanuman's path. Now, as he is flying further, now the Devatas have seen all this. They are all watching, isn't it? Why are the Devatas watching with so much interest? Because you remember, at the very beginning of the Ramayana, we said how the Devatas were crying and they went to Brahma, and together they all went to Vishnu and prayed to him. They prayed to Sriman Narayana, saying that please deliver us from all these evil Rakshasas. And now the time has come. Now Sita has been kidnapped by Ravana, and now searching for her, Rama will go and he will destroy. So they are waiting very eagerly. Now they are very happy to see how Hanuman handled this obstacle of Mainak. But they want to still test him and they want to make out, like, they want to check, is he really so capable? Is he going to be able to complete this mission? So what they do is, there is one one Devi called as Surasa. She's actually the Nagamata. So what they do is they tell her, you go and you pose an obstacle to Hanuman. You go into the Samudra and you be an obstacle to him. Let us see how he overcomes your obstacle. So then suddenly, as Hanuman is flying, now he has said goodbye to Mainaka and he is flying continuously. At that point of time, one huge Rakshasi like form appears with a big wide mouth, with a big body, with a snake like body. So that is none other than this Surasa. She takes on that form of a Rakshasi. And she stops Hanuman. She says, wait here. Who are you? How can you fly across like this? So Hanuman says that I am going like this and all. So she says, no, you have to enter my mouth. I have got a boon from Brahma. He has given me a vara that anybody who is passing this way, they have to enter into my mouth, and only then they can go. If they don't enter my mouth, I will not let them pass across this ocean. So Hanuman says, okay, fine. If that is your condition, then fine, I will enter. Now, what Hanuman does, it is a battle of wits between them. She has opened her mouth big, right? So Hanuman grows to a size bigger than that. She opens her mouth wider. Then Hanuman grows even bigger in size. And then all of a sudden, when her mouth is very big, he suddenly becomes very tiny, like the size of a little thumb, and he enters inside the mouth and comes out within the flash of a second. And then he tells her, oh, Devi, I have entered your mouth. You told me that was your condition, isn't it? You didn't say I have to go into your stomach and all that. Your condition was that I should enter your mouth. So I have entered your mouth and I have come out. So I have fulfilled your condition. Please let me go, he asks her. And then she's very happy. She reveals her true identity. She says, the Devatas have sent me to check how quick you are and how smart you are. And we are all very pleased with your intelligence. And she blesses him that you will have success in your journey, you will have success in whatever mission you are trying to accomplish, and she sends him with her blessings. So Hanuman has successfully overcome the second obstacle also, and the Devatas are now very happy. They saw how in the first case Hanuman overcame, and now the second obstacle also has been overcome. There are going to be more obstacles in Hanuman's path, but we will take them up tomorrow. For today, we will see what we can learn from all these things that we talked about today. Now, we said in the beginning that this Kanda from here onwards is called Sundarakanda. Why is it called Sundarakanda? Because this is, and here the Acharyas say, it is the only Kanda which was named after a person. Who is that person? That person is actually Hanuman. Hanuman's original name, as he was named by his mother Anjana, was Sundara because he was a beautiful child. So he was named Sundara. It is only later that because of all the other things, he got the other names. Now we know him as Anjaneya. What does Anjaneya mean? The son of Anjana, right? Or we call him as Vayu Putra, Pavana Putra. That means he is the son of Vayu, of Pavan, like that. Then we call him Maruti because he has performed some activities against the Maruts, or he is one of the Maruts. So, like that, we give different names to him. Then we know that Hanuman, the name came because his jaw was broken by the Vajrayudha of Indra. So, all these names are because of certain other events or activities and so on. But why is he called as Sundara? That was the original name which his mother gave him because he was very beautiful. So, if you see all the other kandas in the Ramayana are named according to the events or according to what is happening there. Like you have Balakanda, where all the sons of Dasharatha were small children. Then we have Ayodhya Kanda, they are about the events in Ayodhya. Then we have Aranya Kanda, which is due to the events which are happening in the forest, and so on. Then, if you see later, there will be Yuddha Kanda, where it is about the fight between Rama and Ravana. Then there will be Uttarakanda, which is the events post Pattabhisheka of Rama. So all these, then we have Kishkinda Kanda, where the events happen in Kishkinda. So all these kandas are named after the place or after the particular situation at that time. Only this one is called as Sundarakanda, and it is named on the basis of Hanuman's name, which was Sundara. Here, the acharyas say that that by the very name also and by its very nature, it's very beautiful. Sundare Sundaro Ramaha, Sundare Sundari Katha, Sundare Sundari Sita, Sundare Sundaram Vanam, Sundare Sundaram Kavyam, Sundare Sundaro Kapihi, Sundare Sundaram Mantram, Sundare Kimna Sundaram. What is not beautiful in this Sundarakanda? There is mention of Rama, there is mention of Sita, there is mention of their beautiful relationship, there is mention of the beautiful vana, the forest, the Ashoka Vana, right? There's so beautiful poetry in this part. This Kapi, this monkey, this Vanara, Hanuman himself is so beautiful, right? And all these mantras in this are so beautiful. And what is it that is not beautiful in the Sundarakanda? So say the Acharyas. Another very important point stressed by our Acharyas here is that this Hanuman, as he is now going with that ring from Rama, there is a very deep meaning which the Acharyas convey to us here. This Hanuman is going as the Acharya who connects the Lord with the Jivatma. So you remember we talked about this first shloka which is there, right? That Hanuman, who is the destroyer of foes, he went through the sky searching for Sita, who had been taken away by Ravana. So that shloka, our Acharyas, Sri Vaishnava Acharyas explain that there is a very deep meaning. Sita, we said, she is the Swarupa of Mahalakshmi herself. But here, at this point of time, she has taken on the role of the embodied soul, the Jivatma. Ravana, who has taken her away, is the ignorance, the avidya. Now, just as avidya has imprisoned the Jivatma, to represent that, we have the situation where Ravana has kidnapped and taken away Sita and kept her in prison in Lanka. So, Ravana, ignorance, has abducted the Jivatma, has taken the Jivatma into its control. Now, who is there who is going to free this Jivatma from the ignorance? That can only be done by an Acharya. That can only be done from the knowledge. Ignorance has to be destroyed. There has to be knowledge which destroys the ignorance. Who is going to give that knowledge? That is going to come from the Acharya. This Acharya who has now traveled from Rama. Rama is the Lord himself. From him with his ring, that ring of Rama is like the permission which has been granted. And who is it that is bringing that Rama's ring? It is Hanuman. So Hanuman is in the role of an Acharya who comes with permission from the Lord to find the Jivatma who has been imprisoned by ignorance, and he is coming flying along this path which has been walked by the celestial beings. Who are these celestial beings here being referred to? They are all the Purvacharyas. So now Hanuman is an Acharya who is coming, and what path is he coming through? He is going to come through the path which has been followed by all the previous Acharyas. So that which has been well established in Shastra, along that path the Acharya comes with permission from the Lord, and he brings the message of the Lord to the Jivatma who is caught up in the mesh, in the prison of ignorance. So this is the very deep meaning of the role of Anjaneya here, and that is what Acharyas explained to us very beautifully. And that is why it is told that anybody who listens to the Sundarakanda, anybody who reads the Sundarakanda, for them the implication is that very soon the Guru will be there in their life, because this is the exact role of Hanuman in this Sundarakanda. So if we hear the Sundarakanda, if we read the Sundarakanda, it indicates that if we don't yet have a Guru in our life, then very soon the Guru is going to present himself in our life. So we can take a lot of hope from that and pray that we will also get the Guru very soon. Now, in the Kamba Ramayana, there's an interesting connection that Kambar makes. He says that Hanuman had connection with the 5 important elements of life in this world, which are called as the Pancha Mahabhutas. So we know Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akasha. These are the 5 Pancha Bhutas: the earth, the fire, the wind, the water, the water and sky. So, what does he mean by saying he had the connection of all these five elements? How is it that Kambar is saying like this? So, first, Hanuman is the son of Vayu. So, Vayu represents wind. What is he crossing? The ocean. What element is the ocean? It is the water element. How is he crossing that ocean? Through the sky. So, the sky is the third element that is involved here because he is flying across through the sky. Whom is he going to meet? He is going to meet Sita. And who is Sita? She is the daughter of Bhuma Devi. So the earth element comes into the picture. And once he has finished meeting Sita and conveyed the message of Rama, then before returning back, what does Hanuman do? He sets fire to Lanka. So there is the Agni Tattva. So like this, there is all the five elements who are coming to offer service to Hanuman when he came in pursuit of Sita. So this is one beautiful concept which is conveyed in the Kamba Ramayana. Now we said that this Mainaka mountain rose up and he told that I am a very close friend of your father Vayu. How did Mainaka know Vayu? Because it is told that in the olden times, these mountains, all of them, they had wings and mountains were flying around here and there. They were not solidly fixed in one place. They were flying about. They had that ability. Then what happened is that some of the mountains used to suddenly go and settle in some place and they would fall someplace or they would go and in when they were traveling flying like that they would hit somebody. So a lot of people were getting into difficulty. Lot of human beings, animals, so many jivas were in trouble because of that. So then Indra decided that it is too much of movement for these mountains, they should not be moving. So he was throwing his vajra and cutting off the wings of all these mountains. At that time, this Mainaka was very scared. He was a huge mountain and he was very scared. And he asked for help from Vayu. So Vayu protected Mainaka and he blew him. Vayu is air, isn't it? So he, with a blast of air, he made this Mainaka to move away from the earth and to come and get submerged in the ocean so that his wings are safe, so that he remains intact. Only thing is, he was underwater. So, like this is how Mainaka knew Vayu. He had a lot of gratitude for the help that Vayu had done to him, and therefore he was very happy to offer hospitality to Hanuman. Now, we also said another thing that Mainaka told that the Sagara wants to do return service to Raghu dynasty. What is this? What does he mean by return service? That somebody from Raghu dynasty did something good to the Sagara, and therefore the Sagara wants to help. Out of gratitude, he wants to return that service. Now, what is this story about? We must have heard this Raghu dynasty, that is the dynasty in which King Raghu came, in which is also called as the Ikshvaku Vamsha. So, in that, we have heard about how this there was a king called Sagara, and that king called Sagara had one son. He had a son called Asamanjas, and then that Asamanjas had a son called Anshuman. This Sagara was a very good king. This Asamanjas, however, was very bad. Okay, so his son was Anshuman. At the same time, this Sagara also had 60,000 other sons. Now that Asamanjas was sent away because he was very bad. And then when this Sagara Raja wanted to do Ashwamedha Yaga, that horse was let free. And the horse went away somewhere. It never came back. Now, the rule was that if that horse somebody stops, then that person is challenging this king. So, that horse, whoever challenges, they have to have a fight with the king. However, nobody came to challenge, but that horse had just disappeared. So, nobody knew where that horse went. So, this Sagara that had another 60,000 sons. So, this Anshuman was there with Sagara, but those 60,000 sons, they all went in search. And then what happened was that they went and they started, when they could not find the horse anywhere on the earth, they started digging deeper and deeper and deeper into the earth. And they dug up so many places, and all living beings started to suffer because they were digging everywhere. So they complained to Brahma, and then Brahma, to make sure that, they are not going to dig anymore, he made them reach the place where they saw there was one rishi sitting in tapas, and next to him was that horse. Actually, what had happened was that horse had been taken away by Indra, and it had been brought and kept at that place where that rishi was. Now, that was Kapila Muni. So, that rishi was sitting in tapas. Now, these 60,000 sons, they never knew anything. They had no ability to comprehend that why will a rishi kidnap or rob that horse, isn't it? So, as soon as they saw that horse standing next to the rishi, they provoked that rishi. They said, "Oh, you are the thief. You are the one who has robbed our horse." And hearing all this ruckus, that rishi opened his eyes. And the minute he opened his eyes, those 60,000 sons were burnt to death, and their ashes totally filled up that place. Now, those people who are waiting there, Anshuman, Sagara, they have no idea what has happened. There is no clue about what has gone wrong. So the horse has not come back. These 60,000 people have also not come back. So then Sagara says to Anshuman that you go and find out. So Anshuman comes, he sees all this, and then he realizes that, oh, this is what is the problem that had happened. And then he requests the rishi that please, they are all my own people. How can you do like this? They are my uncles. I want some solution for this. If they are just lying like this, burned to ashes, they are atmas are not getting mukti from here. So please do something. So then what happens is that Kapila Muni tells that, okay, you have to do one thing. Only if the water of the Ganga Nadi comes here, then she will purify them and they will get mukti and go to the next loka. So this Anshuman goes back and then he reports that to Sagara. They try many different things, but nothing happens. Then the Anshuman's son, who is Dilipa, he also tries, but he also becomes very old. Despite all his tapas and efforts, there is no way that Ganga comes down. And Dilipa's son is Bhagiratha. This Bhagiratha does lot of tapas. He says, I will not become the king until I get the Ganga down here. And then by his efforts, Ganga is brought down. And that is why, because of his great effort since Ganga came, that Ganga Nadi is also known as Bhagirathi, the daughter of Bhagiratha. And that is why till today we say if somebody has done a really great hard work for something, we say Bhagiratha Prayatna. It is the great effort like equal to that of Bhagiratha. So once he brings Ganga down, she flows, she comes flowing behind him, she comes running, and then she fills up this entire land which was dug out by those 60,000 sons of Sagara. And that is why that place where the water flew and flowed and came and filled up that open space, that became Sagara. So now you understand the connection that Sagara is there today because of the efforts of Bhagiratha, of Dilipa, of Anshuman, all these people who were part of the Raghu dynasty. So that is why this Sagara is feeling that they are responsible for my very birth. So I should do something in return to them as a service. And therefore, since the Sagara himself cannot do anything, but Mainaka is with him, he offers services of Mainaka to Anjaneya. So this is a little long-winded story, but I hope you understood that the concept is that when we get something from somebody, we should have that gratitude that we want to do something in return for them. That should come naturally, not like, a negotiation, not like a business deal, not like that. They have done good to me. I should also do something good to them. Should come automatically to us, right? Now, we saw about these two obstacles which came in Hanuman's path. First was Mainaka. Mainaka came with a friendly purpose. And yet, because Hanuman was focused on his purpose, he did not want to waste time there. And how did he win over this obstacle? With love and affection. He hugged that mountain. He said, I am grateful for your offer, but I'm sorry I cannot wait. And with that affection, he won over that obstacle. Now, second obstacle who came was Surasa. She came to test Hanuman, right? Because the Devatas had sent her. She came to test. And how did Hanuman win over her? With his intelligence. He said, I have to only enter your mouth. So I have fulfilled that condition. I have entered your mouth. So with his intelligence, he won over Surasa. Now we are going to see in the next satsang about how Hanuman wins the other obstacles in his path. But for today, we have learned so many things. Let us try to understand that this is all available to us because of the grace of the acharyas. We have so many acharyas who have commented and given us all their vyakhyanas, and let us express gratitude to their lotus feet. Let us express gratitude at the lotus feet of Sri Rama, because by Lord Rama and Sita's grace, we are able to learn all these things. Let us pray that their blessings and grace are always on us. Mangalam Kosalendraya Mahaniya Gunabdhaye Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam Veda Vedanta Vedyaya Megha Shyamalamurtaye Pumsam Mohana Rupaya Punya Shlokaya Mangalam Pitrabhaktaya Satatam Bhratrabhisa Sitaya Nandita Khila Lokaya Ramabhadraya Mangalam Srimate Raghuviraya सेतुलङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलं मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you everybody. We'll meet again tomorrow with the next topic. Namaskar.